Welcome everyone. This is my second video about various things on the forums. Today I'm going to do a quick overview of the new Vue.js user control panel and give a little status report. This is for the latest version, currently 2.617, and hope you find it useful. As always, if you have any comments, please post them in the forums, and I hope people who are not familiar with the new CP find this useful. So let's just get right into it. So I started this project, I think, around February 19th. Took me a couple of weeks to learn some of the basics of Vue.js and get it under control, and kind of have a basic understanding of it. And then at the same time, I got a little bit busy around, let me see, mid-March, and that's when I did the bulk of the work, and then started testing in April, and then towards the end of April, May, started working on the live chat in the publish and subscribe network. Hopefully that will make some progress. So this started basically with this project right here. I just ponied up the 59 bucks, and after doing a lot of research, and thought this might make a good template to replace the aging user control panel on the forums, and I had already made the decision to go with Vue.js, and so I just used this template, which I had to heavily modify, but I think it probably saved me a lot of time, and it did give me a template to work with. So I'm really glad I used it, and I can highly recommend any kind of templates or any support you might need from the Creative Tim guys who put this together. They helped me with some gotchas I had in the beginning, but it's pretty much been support free, and there hasn't been much I had to do with it. Most of the work has all been on the back end, making it work with our legacy forum system. So here it is. We're basically this is probably the first thing that most users see. This is the basic dashboard, except it's using obviously all of our live data from the forum. It's got this giant chart.js at the top, which basically shows the forum activity, when people are thanked, how many discussion threads have been created, and how many posts over the last year. And it's you can see it's pretty steady. Went up a little bit in March, but it's been it averages, it looks like ballpark about 1,500 a month, and March is no exception. May looks like it may be a little bit softer in the number of posts. And then of course we have these little stat badges with the number of discussions, posts, thanks, and the number of users. Now some people have noticed that the users have dropped significantly this year, and that's my doing. I basically went into the database earlier this year and purged all the users who had no post and no activity for the last I think it was about a year. So because we've been around for over a decade, and obviously we've had bots register, we've had a lot of people register and then never post, and so just to keep the database clean, I think we were way over, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands it was, and it was I think I purged about 2/3 of the database. And some people might say, why did you do it? It's great to have a big number of users, but I just wanted to basically have the active users, or people who are actually posting or have posted. So that's kind of where we are. Then we have these other stats about the new members over the last 6 months. the top 6 countries that they have been registering from, and then the top countries as far as when they're thanked by other members. So you can see obviously that the U.S. is always at the top, and then the new members tend to come from India, and then Europe, Canada, Germany, obviously. And then the same thing is true on the top contributors. It's the U.S., but we have a real strong contribution from Germany, and one of our members, Corona 688, is one of our top contributors consistently, and he's from California. And then Scrutinizer, obviously from the Netherlands, keeps things going. Same with our Indian members. Then we've had a number of really amazing German members over the last few years, including Rudy and Wolf and some other really great guys. And then here's a Stomp, to name a few, and I'm sure I've missed some key. Made in Germany. I mean, the list goes on of the talent from Germany that we have. And then Don Cragen obviously stands out on the U.S. side. He's just an amazing wealth of knowledge, all things shell, POSIX, to many people. And, it's just been an amazing asset to Unix.com over the last 6 years. And then we have, when someone first logs in, I'll just refresh this page. They will see the leadership team, and this is in order of when people were last on the network or on the site. So Ravinder, he's always on the site, so he's obviously at the top, and Dennis is number 2, and here I am down here is number 3, and so this changes constantly based on how active people are. You can see Don, he's down here. Excuse me, got a little bit of a cold. He's down here at because he hasn't logged in yet because of the time zone difference. I think I'm 12 time zones ahead of him. So if you hear any sounds of the beach or motorcycles, it's because my windows are wide open, and it's I like to have the breeze of the ocean. So you can see Wolf isn't very active. He's probably not very happy with me over some of my changes that I've been trying to institute to make the site more mobile friendly and appealing towards the new generation of users. Probably could have handled it better, but I've just got a lot on my plate as a developer, and I wish he would be active again soon. Then we have our advisors. They're all pretty much automatic by the criteria that we set up, and they're either this list changes dynamically based on who's been posting and who's been active. So and everyone is really important, and is been a great member of our core team. So people see this generally when they first log in, or when they first join the site. And then I've noticed lately that most people will go right to a live chat, but we'll touch on that a little bit later. But I'll just touch on it now while we're here. So people tend to go right to a live chat, and then they'll tend to ask questions, like how do I post, or or they'll ask a question related to some kind of technology, and then normally someone who's online at the time or a moderator will direct them to create an account and help them post their first post. So while I'm here, I could probably tell you a little bit about this. This is based on a couple things. One of the libraries that we used is this Vue Steam Chat. So I use this to plug in and import into Vue.js, this particular project, and used it with quite a bit of modifications on the back end, but not too many in the UI itself, just so I wouldn't have to spend a lot of time developing the basic window. I'll probably modify this later on this year or next year in more detail, but it's served us pretty well so far, and can highly recommend it. you know, it worked pretty well. I had to make some changes. You know, for example, if you're in this bottom part down here where this says this is a cool message and you hit return, it didn't post. You had to hit the send button. You know, I just wrote a lot of simple JavaScript code here and there to make it so you could just hit the return key, and those kind of simple modifications. But it worked really well, and it's the beauty of working with JavaScript is you have all these frameworks and amazing people who put a lot of time into creating these frameworks and libraries for people. And then, of course, I would be completely remiss if I didn't mention PubNub. The guys at PubNubs and the team there have been really supportive of us. First, I used the Vue PubNub SDK, but I couldn't get it to work right. It was a wrapper that wrapped over the SDK that we're looking at currently, the standard JavaScript SDK. So it was just easier for me to get rid of the wrapper, and because the documentations are completely thorough here, and much easier when you're working directly with the JavaScript API for me than trying to use a wrapper. So wasn't a day to go into the technical details. I do plan on opening up the code, which is already posted on Unix.com, and go into some detail in the future. But this is not meant to be a really technical discussion. It's more of an overview for the users. So then if we get back to, where were we? If we get back to here, obviously users are generally directed to create an account. So we have the registration page, and of course for people who've already logged in or have already got an account, they can log in. And then the users who are guests, like this particular user is a guest, he hasn't logged in, or they can just they can view the basic dashboard that I showed you guys earlier, and they can go look at the timeline and do see some basic things like today's discussion threads, and they can see who the ones that have been thanked are the most interesting. We're having this really interesting discussion on climate change now, which is really great. And then shows the replies in the last poster. And then so you get this is on the weekend. We usually have a slow. It's always slow on the weekends. We're a Monday through Friday site. Busy is on Tuesday. So here's the stuff. And then there's a timeline of basically the last. I think if you're a registered user, you see 100. If you're a guest, you see 50, or it might be 200 if you're a registered user, which just shows all the back and forth posts, and in a descending matter, who replied, who started a post, and this kind of stuff. And then and then of course, I have to shout out to Revender for doing a great job on giving me this idea last year for the badging system. So we provide a timeline of the last 200 notices that users got for badges. This badging system seems to be really popular for a lot of people. Some people don't like it. Some people really like it. It's like all features on the site. Nobody likes everything, and sometimes you just can't please everyone. But the new users seem to like it and appreciate it. We've never had any negative comments or negative feedback from any new users. I've butted heads a little bit with some of the decade-old members about it, some of them is called badging system useless. But I like it, and I noticed that it's pretty easy when you're moderating to use the badging system to help understand at a glance what the user has contributed over the years, or even in a short period of time. So most people would log in at this point. So can just log in. I'll just log in as me. And then when you log in, you're basically I think you generally are redirected immediately to the new discussions page. And the forums are a lot slower than they were 5 years ago. With the explosion of the internet, Unix.com is still busy, but we're nowhere as busy as we were 5 years ago. It's not surprising. There's a lot of good technology sites out there. People don't ask as many questions in a forum as they used to. They tend to, they want to learn something real quick. They probably will go to YouTube and look at a couple tutorials and learn things, and then you know, after they've had a little bit of review, people will come to the site, and then they'll, since the site has been around for over a decade and there's, you know, over 250,000 threads and discussion threads and 800,000 posts, give or take, off the top of my head, that you know, a lot of people just find all this stuff from Google, and they don't even, like most of us, you don't register because you're getting your answers already, and that's you know, it's the beauty of the internet. As the knowledge base grows globally all over the net, people don't log in as much as they used to. So we need to be more responsive to users and find a way to make them want to be more of a part of the community. And that's one of the reasons I redesigned the user control panel, to make it much nicer, because if the old one was just an embarrassment, a legacy 10 years ago, written on extremely old technology. You know, this is us. We're getting close to state of the art using Vue.js here at Unix.com. So at the top of the user dashboard, when you're logged in as a member, obviously you have more options. You have your own dashboard here, and you have access to look at the server and the server load. So this is really popular, and I'm going to do a completely separate video on this in the future. I know Ravinder says he just wants to learn how to code this, and other people have commented. So I originally wrote this dashboard for the forum and Oracle Jet, but I ended up not using Oracle Jet in a larger way at the forum. So I just basically took the back-end stuff and retooled it, and then used all those JSON asynchronous calls to populate this dashboard. And I actually used a pretty nice plugin for this, and I forgot to pull it up. Maybe I'll do that another day. It was a very nice JavaScript plugin that makes this very nice looking dashboard dials. So basically we show the basic load average of the server, which is useful for people when we get hit by a bot or we're really busy and they want to see, you know, what's happening with the server. And you know, of course I can monitor the disk usage, and so can anybody else, the number of server processes, Apache processes that are running at any given time. And this percentage is just pretty much based on, you know, the max, which I don't think I've updated it since I changed it recently. You know, when we get hit with a lot of traffic, I go in and I have to adjust, you know, the MySQL and the Apache processes. And I think I adjusted this a week or so ago, and I haven't upgraded it, so these percentages aren't quite right. And this is the number of users online right now. With guests and registered users right now, we're at about 2,000. Of course, since we're using Vue.js and it's reactive, you know, we have this process running in the background, updating, I think, every 10-15 seconds. As you can see, the numbers are updating in, you know, semi-real time. So this is set to about, I guess I set this to, you know, we used to, I think last year, we were peaking a little over 3,000, and then we got hit by some Google penalties that I'm going to do a video on pretty soon. And I've done a lot of work recently to try to mitigate those, and I think I've done somewhat of a good job, but we haven't fully recovered. So I'm hoping, you know, we'll get up to 3,000 peak users on Tuesdays by you know, in the next couple of weeks. It takes time, you know. I was remarking the other day that Google used to index our whole site very quickly, even when we had hundreds of thousands of links. And you know, now we have 1 million links, but the internet has just grown exponentially, or whatever the word is, over the last few years. It's just amazing. And so here we are. You know, you just can't get indexed as quickly as we used to. And then if you look at the trend of Unix keywords in general, they're just been going down and down over the years, as Unix is a very mature technology, and you know, the trend for programming in JavaScript and Python and the Internet of Things has just been exploding. And so that's, you know, where the trendy stuff is obviously is in JavaScript and Python from what I see when I look at Google Trends. So anyway, that's the dashboard. You know, it works, keeps everything going. You can see it's had 21, 22 updates at the bottom when this little thing updates with the async calls. And then when I have my own dashboard, this is something for what I'm going to do for the future is I'm going to make these available for all all users will be able to look at other people's dashboards. So right now I can only see this myself, but I don't want to put that inside the UserCP directly, so I'm actually going to rebuild this application, I believe, next using the NUXT, or I think it's pronounced Nuxt framework, which allows you to build these kind of really interesting Vue applications that run and are rendered on the server side versus in the browser. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One of the main reasons for it is because it's just really difficult to do search engine optimization with the single page applications. But because the UserCP is really not designed to be really looked at by bots and other people, you know, I was okay to build that in a single page application. But I start to move towards the forums and the posts and the threads and checking out other people's profiles and really getting into the heart of the forum. I'm going to have to retool all of this not to be a single page application. And I haven't worked with Nuxt yet, but I've, you know, obviously like many people, I've sat back and watched a couple of videos. So hopefully, you know, it's just another thing to learn and to do. To build, I'm going to try to tool this and see if I can get it to work on this as a server-side app using Nuxt instead of a single-page app in the browser. And I might contact these guys up here and see if they're interested in doing that port for me, or if they're interested in doing it. I wouldn't mind supporting them if they would do it, or maybe they can offer me some suggestion how to do it really quickly. So anyway, here's my dashboard. It's only viewable to me, and all users can see their own. It shows the thanks over the last few months. So you know, this is a very important metric for many people at Unix.com, is when people hit the little thumbs up button in the bottom left and of a post and appreciate their work. And of course, my discussions over the last year, and the posts and the contributions that I make. I wasn't really very active a little over a year ago, and I was busy on a cybersecurity project in 2017 and into 2018, and then I stopped because some reasons. You know, I was using programming in the Unity gaming engine. I was having trouble with some multi-threaded issues. I didn't have enough computing power to do what I was going to do, and I was having trouble with distributed processing. And that's one of the reasons I learned the PubNub framework, because my plan is when I start doing the cybersecurity work again, distributed blackboard architectures and cyberspace situational awareness kind of stuff, that I need to have a strong communications infrastructure for publish and subscribe. And the support that I've gotten from PubNub has been so good, and I like the SDK, the JavaScript SDK, so much that I'm probably going to build the backbone of the next generation cybersecurity app that I'm building on PubNub. So back to the forums. You know, it has the same kind of status badges, except it's just for each individual users. My total thanks received, total thanksgiving, my total number of posts in the history of the forums, my total discussions, you know, and then the discussions that I've just described too automatically that I participated in. So this is available to every user. I think this shows the last 100, which is a pretty good snapshot. It's about a month, I think, for me, or less, maybe not, of post. And then you saw the forum. So, you know, we're getting close to wrapping this up. You've seen some of the timelines. Today's my post is new. It's for me, or for the individual users only. They can see a timeline of the last 200 of their posts. And of course, obviously they can go right to it on the original forum site if they want to. And I believe there's a timeline that I don't use at the bottom. Yeah, the original timeline view, but I don't use it. You know, it looked kind of nice in the template, but it's not. I don't think it's very practical. But if someone likes it, it's still there. I haven't decommissioned it yet, but in general, I like the table timeline view better. So it just seems much more easier to use. So inside the forum CP, obviously you can look at your badges and see, you know, do your mouse overs and see your badges. I haven't completely finished this yet. I want it to run for a number of months, and then I was going to do a shout out and ask people for comments, and then make some changes. Some people would like for me to, for example, to put all the badges related to the times users are thanked together in a corner. I've been reluctant to do that. I didn't want to structure it too much where everything was too structurally perfect. I like having more of a random thing where, you know, maybe the first thanks you received in the total count is here, and after you've received 2,000 it's over here, and after you've received 1,000 posts completed it's here. I find it's really easy after you've used the badging system for a short period of time, develop a quick situational knowledge of what you and other users are experiencing using, and it doesn't really matter if everything is organized in some kind of tight, perfect way. You know, I find it a little bit boring, but you know, other people mileage may vary, so maybe I'll make an option to have a more structured thing where all the badges are ordered nicer. And then I have you know, we have some grayed out up here that, for example, this one has been reserved. I haven't done anything for these. So I think we have this 6x8 grid of 48 badges, and it seems to be working pretty well. And then looks like I need to come in here and make sure this icon is correct. There's always work to do. And then, you know, you have your own profile. So I just basically, for this, I wanted it to be clean, so I took a form and I just populate the form from the live database, obviously, and then I wrote some code that basically summarizes everything here and writes a little blurb over here, and then you can quickly see you know, your own stats and things. And then if I didn't have this screen so small, so I could make it format right for a YouTube video, these would actually, you know, format nicer. And then you can obviously edit your own profile. You can edit your avatar if you want, change it, upload a new one, change anything right here, change any work you want to, and all users can update their profile from right here. Then you can see your own subscribed threads. You can, of course, we have some badges that point you to the legacy system where you can see your post, and you can see your threads and your thank threads, for example, and when you were thanked and who thanked you, and all this kind of background stuff. And so that's kind of where we are. And then if you look at the online part, this is just the members who are online now, not the guest. And we are at a slow part of the day here where it's 5, I think it's 5 in the morning on the east coast of the US, and the end of the day in Europe. So and then we have you know, this area to your own notes, where you can basically go to your messaging, see, and do your inbox, your outbox. But I plan on sunsetting a lot of this stuff, like the PM box and the message box and all this stuff. I plan on figuring how I can use the idea of the live chat, but change it so it's more personable to individual users, so I can sunset the legacy messaging system. So that's one of the plans that I have moving forward. And then, of course, there's user settings where you can edit your profile. And other settings are kind of interesting. I had a discussion with Revinder over this recently, and we're talking about sunset. All these are for example, changing your password, and you know, that kind of stuff goes to the old system, or the new system, I'm sorry. And it's colored in this kind of teal, or Vue.js color, I think it's called. And then so you can edit your avatar and some of your profile information, all this stuff. And the teal stuff is all in the new UI, and in the blue stuff is all in the old stuff. But I'm going to sunset a lot of this stuff, and I haven't decided what to sunset yet. You know, some of this stuff just people don't use. People generally don't care about setting their own time zones or worry about, you know, using certain kind of things. And a lot of the ideas of the early forums are just provide way too much stuff in the back end that users hardly use, and so it just doesn't really pay to try to maintain this stuff. So I haven't decided what to sunset yet and what to change. So, but it's in my radar to eventually do that. Then I have some stuff that I do on the admin side that's pretty much my stuff that I don't want to really get into. So that's pretty much it. I forgot about the little floating settings over here. So I pretty much use dark mode all the time. I think it defaults to dark mode, but I might have made some changes and accidentally overwritten that recently. I'll have to check. But some people like light mode. It works well. I've had some people comment in live chat, you know, that they really like the dark mode. I like it, but light mode looks great. So I tend to use dark mode, and I tend to use this dark color for the side menu bar. You know, these other ones, they work, and they were all part of the original template. I haven't deleted them yet, but I haven't written any code to track usage. It's not causing me any grief, and nobody's made any comments on it strongly either way. So I think it defaults to basically the way that we see it right now. But I have to check that later on this year. So that's the dashboard. It's the UserCP. Like I say, I started this I started studying Vue.js and learning about it, and made the decision, watched a bunch of YouTube videos in this time frame, and then started coding and learning the framework in mid-February, got really into it, and was really making changes like crazy most of March. April was a lot of testing and some refinements. And then the end of April, I started doing a lot of PubNub stuff and working on live chat. That was pretty challenging, but I have it working. As a matter of fact, speaking of that PubNub thing, I'd like to kind of share this kind of funny thing with you. This is I think this is a 30-day view of PubNub. So you can see I started this about a little less than a month ago, which, you know, you can see by Git, that's about when I started that. And some of the code that I wrote just didn't work as I expected, and you know, I got these huge spikes in transactions. Yeah, these are transactions, just like wow. You know, I haven't ever seen more than 6 people in live chat so far in one time, and you know, it just didn't. And it's not like they were writing messaging like crazy. So most people were just asking, hey this, hey that, you know, form updates and things. So, you know, it's like, what is this 100,000? So I work with PubNub, and you know, I think I fat fingered something in the backend configuration here in the PubNub backend configuration. I did something somewhere in this thing, and I was going, wow, you know, I've already up to almost 1 million transactions, and you know, I don't mind paying when it gets over 1 million. Obviously, it's adding value to the site, and I'm happy to do that. But I don't want to be paying for transactions that it just don't make any sense. So I work with PubNub, and I did a lot of retooling, and now we're about 10,000, 5, 6, 7,000 transactions a day. So, you know, that's for all the history messages and, you know, stuff that happens on a daily basis. So I'm not 100% happy with it, but I think it's much better, obviously, when you're showing 5,000 transactions a day versus 100,000. So if we average, say, 6,000 a day for over a monthly period, we'll be well below the limit, and then I can start building new applications. So I was planning on letting this run out a little bit more. Like, for example, if we look at 7 days, the number's already dropping. So it needs to drop, I think, 1 or 2 more days, and my weekly stuff is, of course, this is a couple days behind. But here's where we are, and it's working pretty well. I'm really happy with PubNub. I'm happy with their back end, their front end, their service, their SDKs. We use the PHP SDK in the background, and everything works good. For example, if you're in live chat, and if I'm working and coding, and I have my MacBook Air over here on the left, and in front of me I have this huge Asus 34-inch monitor with my Mac Pro, my black trash can over here in the corner, that it's really easy to see what's going on. If I just want to see the chats, I just filter out the chats, and I can see, someone's chatting with me. One of our members from Russia today we were chatting something about the ocean and the sea. So we do get a chance to interact a little bit more than we do on the main forums. And then if the status messages, I haven't been done much with that, but it does show over the last 24 hours some of the new signups that were successful. And then obviously I have a PHP also SDK pushing out these live forum updates. So you can see who replied to what and who started a new post here and there, and it works good. So now that I have the basics PubSub stuff going, you can expand this into cybersecurity, or you can describe into network management, or situational awareness. If you're really into the server side and that part of it, like me, PubNub likes to talk about how amazing things are with using this for the Internet of Things idea. I'm not really into buzzwords and marketing phrases and stuff, but for many people, I guess it's really cool to be able to have your refrigerator talking to your cell phone, and have that talking to your the dog's collar when they walk around. The lid light blinks when the hot dogs are ready. Whatever. It's all really good stuff. But I tend to focus on cybersecurity, distributed cybersecurity, situational awareness, network management, and then obviously trying to build new features into Unix.com over the years. And that's where I'm going to kind of start to end this discussion. Basically, thanks. This is just an overview. It's meant to be very technical. Basically, talking about where we are with this. It's running good. It's an incredible improvement over what we had. I really like it. The comments have been really positive, especially from the younger generations. Some of our older generation members, I don't think they really like it. The non-cell phone people. And and I love those guys too, and I want them to be welcome at Unix.com forever. So we're trying, but at the same time we need to build the site up to be more mobile friendly, mobile savvy, good for mobile users, and on all devices, and with a little bit more modern technology. So stay in touch. I'm going to try to make more of these videos. Obviously it'd be great if you could subscribe and like and show some support. If you don't, it's cool. I'm still going to it's not like every time I log in and listen to a tutorial and video, they're always asking to subscribe and like, and asking people to hit the like button. So I didn't want to harp on that too much. I just want people to get an overview of the new UserCP. And in the future, I'm going to continue on this, but I'm going to move it to the server side so I can make it really SEO friendly, and make it so it's really working good and it integrates well, and then we'll see where it goes. It's I think the Google trend for the Unix keyword and Unix in general will continue to decline, and but it's okay. We still have a great place for people to discuss Unix and Linux technology, and of course I'm really interested in the newer JavaScript and framework technologies. So that's what I'm focused on. And at the same time, I still have to run the forum, do the SEO, do the server-side stuff, and all the full-stack development. And it's fun. It's good stuff. Keeps me busy. And I'm really happy with it. And I'm going to keep doing it. So thanks a lot for your for watching this video. It's my second one, and I'm not really expert at it yet. So I hope it's was helpful. I hope the quality is good and the sound of the breeze off the ocean isn't too noisy, and you can hear me clearly, and it was useful. And we'll talk to you in the next video.